matchup for it because Crusader, I know from experience, as he's trounced me many times before, is all about huge, overwhelming armies that he will surround and crush you with. And he's very good at microing these huge armies and overwhelming you. Whereas Lotus Moon, I think everybody knows, is a very small, strategic, specific army builder that he micros very, very well. So I think this is going to be time to see which one of those playstyles comes out on top. I mean, what do you think, Safo?
You know, I really like the Crusader style here. I like the big enveloping armies. The thing that I worry about is that when you have these big enveloping armies, you usually have one very, very vulnerable weak point, and that's your leadership. That's your lord. You usually don't get an expensive lord. You usually don't get an expensive bodyguard for your lord because you're looking at mass, right? You want as many people as possible. Which means that Lotus style is so good for this kind of engagement, because what does Lotus like to do? He likes to go in there and kill your weak point, right? He's like the scalpel. He goes in there and just cuts the heart of your army out. And if Crusader here is going to go for that massive amounts of troops army, and his leader is important at all, then he's fucked.
Exactly.
But lucky for him, he's the elves, and so you're not that fucked when your leader dies, but we'll see what happens.
I guess we shall. And can you remind me what the matchup was again? Crusader was on the left, right?
Crusader was on the left-hand side, cool. Yes.
And do you remember the factions? Sorry, I totally blanked there. I smoke too much in my life.
It was, we got ourselves the, see, now I'm forgetting. Had this Dark Elves versus, on Crusader side versus the Sisters of Avalorn.
Oh, nice.
On the other side.
So Dark Elves, High Elves. Oh, yep, you were absolutely right. And you go ahead and wait. Do you want to swap this time? I'll do blue and you do red.
I mean, why not? Let's switch it up.
Let's mix it up, guys. Let's do this.
All right.
So Lotus Moon will be High Elves, and we got the Dark Elves here, which for some reason I messed up.
What do we got for our friends then here in blue?
All right, so for our blue player, we have Lotus Moon bringing a small High Elf army, and in his army, he's going to have 2 units of Silver Helms, 1 with shields, 1 without. He's going to have the Fireborn Regiment of Renowned Dragon Princes, a very nice anti-large fire-dealing damage unit of Dragon Princes. He is also going to have, for his ground forces, what appears to be 2 units of Shadow Warriors, backed up by 1 unit of Dryads. For the rest of his force, he's going to have 4 units of Illyrian Reaver Archers, not bringing the Regiment of Renown this time. And then he is going to have, for his leadership squad, what appears to be 1 Mage of High Magic, going to be on top of a horse, bringing with him Starwood Staff for that power reserve, and as well as the Book of Hoeth to get that recharge rate buff. He's going to have Tempest to hold down those flying units, Hand of Glory for the reload skill and melee attack, as well as Apotheosis and Shield of Sapphire for his ability. Up in the air, he is going to be bringing a Princess on top of a Moondragon, bringing nothing on that Moondragon beside its breath. Now, what do we have for the Dark Elf, Sappho?
You know, you would think that moon dragons with, I don't know, man, this whole breath weapon thing for, I wanted for like the moon dragons to have some like beam of solar light that came down, but I guess a dragon's a dragon. You don't have that many tools. All right, the Dark Elves are actually starting out right from the get-go here. We are going to have a Regiments of Renown. It'll be Slaneshi's Harvesters with the Doomfire Warlocks. That's going to be 3 Doomfire Warlocks in total, including that Regiment of Renown. And it looks like they want to get started right away. The Fireborn are going to rush right into the Slaneshi Harvesters. Slaneshi Harvesters do get a Word of Pain and a Soul Stealer off, but what else has this guy brought for us here? He's got Malekith. He's going to be on a Cold One. I'll tell his spells later. 3 units of Cold One Knights. None of them will be Regiments of Renown. We have 4 units of Bleak Swords, 2 units of Cold One Chariots, and that's going to be all she wrote here for the Dark Elves.
And oh man, looking over here, a Doombolt going to go down on top of the Fireborn. The Fireborn down to a quarter health, and they're going to die to Slaneshi's Harvesters and these Doomfire Warlocks as the Cold One Knights charge in. They have no way to escape, and that's going to be... Wow, that's huge. 1,900 points killed immediately in the game. Dark Elves are just rushing forward, catching some of these Illyrian Reavers. They caught another unit. Silver Helms, the Cold One Knights on top of the Silver Helms are going to make short work of them. And just like that, the Fireborn are no longer in part of this world. They are completely dead and engaged in a very decisive engagement there at the beginning of the battlefield. So Lotus Moon probably feeling the pressure right about now.
I have no doubt about that, man. These these Cold One Knights were absolutely just on the money with that countercharge there on the Fireborn. And, well, a nice breath actually comes out from our Moondragon here, but doesn't do as much damage as maybe he might have wanted. But that is a disgusting massive cavalry. This is where you want one of your spells, man, to just demolish these bastards. But they are going to get through. free and clear, and now just chasing down the remnants of these skirmishy wood elves.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, we have 1 unit of Silver Helms, and we have 1 unit of Dryads, and other than that, no melee capabilities from the High Elves besides perhaps the Princess, but even she is more geared towards skirmishing. These Cold One Chariots, I love the choice, and Crusader always brings these Cold One Chariots. They're very versatile units. They're armor-piercing missiles, armor-piercing anti-infantry melee attacks. And what happened? Did we just get a drop?
I think maybe me and Lotus Moon don't work really well together, as I've been lagging in his games, or somebody's been lagging in his games. The games that I've been watching with him, there's been lag.
Well, I mean, we weren't lagging, so it seems like the common link there would be Lotus Moon then.
Well, we'll see.
I'm just trying to make you... Don't blame yourself, Sappho.
I don't want to lag these guys, man.
Stop lagging. Yeah, no, I mean, at this point, we'll see what Lotus can do. He's very good at pulling himself out of very dire situations, but there's still Doomfire Warlocks on the field. They can catch the Illyrian Reavers if they're careless, because they're also very, very fast. And then you have 3 Cold One Knights left on the field. Not to mention these Cold One Chariot Knights with their armor-piercing missiles, so if the Moon Dragon comes around them, they're going to take a lot of damage from those shots. But yeah, I mean,
the mobility is disgusting, dude. Like, you're looking at the mobility of the Dark Elves. They got 3 units of Doomfire Warlocks still on the field here. They got those 2 Cold One Chariot Knights, like you said, and they have the Cold Ones. Like, now I understand that Lotus Moon is capable of running away for a very long time, but he's not going to be able to run away, kill the infantry, and kill these cavalry. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I mean, we'll see. Maybe if he gets some really good targeting and takes care of the cavalry, which is a huge long shot, I'm saying this purely hypothetically, then theoretically he might be able to cycle charge the infantry to death, because there's not a lot of, there's no anti-large infantry on the field. It's all tied up in the cav. But I just don't know how he's going to get the damage done. There's too much armor on these Cold One Chariots. They have 110 armor. The Cold One Knights have 90 armor plus shields. So his skirmishing is not going to be enough to take him out, and he's already running low on ammo. I think everybody's under the halfway mark on their ammo reserve, so...
Yeah, and here we go. The bloody murder pops here in these Dark Elf eyes. These guys are, they got the scent of blood in their noses now. They're hunting. Unfortunately, none of them are actually in combat outside of these ones that are absolutely running, just train over these poor Shadow Warriors.
Yeah.
These guys, they're not going back home, that's for sure.
No, those Shadow Warriors are not getting out of here. And over here, we'll see if the Silver Helms look like they're coming over to try to kill these Bleak Swords, see a unit that's weak that they can focus on. But the Cold One Knights are coming out to get after them, so... Yeah, this is just looking pretty dire, and at this point, I mean... I don't like to call battles before they're over, but this feels pretty safe to say it's over.
It's for me too. It's so hard for me. Like, when it's the battles that I'm more familiar with, infantry and artillery, some cavalry here and there, I have some confidence. But with these Lotus Moon games, I have no idea, man. He starts the battle looking like he doesn't have enough units to win the game.
Yes.
And yet, he somehow does it time and time again, and so I'm excited to see. If Lotus Moon pulls it out, he's not going to pull it by eating a goddamn sword wind to the face, or a malicious gaze. But that's going to be okay. That didn't do too much damage, and the Illyrian Reavers are going to get the hell out of there. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, he's got to watch out. If one of those chill winds goes down from Malekith, at the same time the Doomfire Warlocks are charging in, then those Illyrian Reavers are dead to rights. Because that speed debuff will be just enough to allow those other Doomfire Warlocks to catch them and close the gap. So we'll see. I think that's pretty much what Crusaders going to have to bank on to catch these skirmishing units. But he also just needs to wait, because they're almost out of ammunition. As soon as they're out of ammunition, they need to dive in and attack.
Absolutely, man. It's very true indeed. And, one of the things that maybe I'm not favoring, don't get me wrong, Crusader has played an amazing game so far and absolutely dismantling this Wood Elf force, but Crusader's also doing a lot of running with everybody. Everybody is chasing everything here, and it is actually paying for itself here. Managed to catch these Silver Helms with Soul Blight and Word of Pain. Those guys are dead to rights. But a vomit in the back's going to kill some Bleak Swords.
Yeah, and do a touch of damage to the Cold One Knights, but... Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's looking pretty bleak, because even if he dives in, he's not going to get terror caused on anybody, and then he's just going to be surrounded by Cold One Knights, so... Yeah, I do agree. He's been running around with everybody this entire battle, but I also think there's an aspect of it where Crusader realizes, like, he doesn't care if his people are exhausted, and if they start getting tired and dying, because all it takes is one of these Illyrian Reavers to get engaged with somebody, and they'll start losing combat, and he'll be able to close the gap, so... Yeah, while I do agree, he probably should have been walking some of these units. I think at this point he recognizes is like he's going to win in combat with anybody he catches. So he might as well just be running everybody after everybody and just see where he gets lucky and hope that Lotus's micro lets up. But Lotus is probably one of the best people at micro in this game at the moment, so he's clearly not making a lot of mistakes.
He knows what he's doing with these missile cav, and that is for absolute certainty. I mean, the fact that he's kept them alive this long against relatively fast cavalry on the enemy side, you know, the Cold One Knights aren't the fastest, but the Doomfires, they're not slow motherfuckers, man. They'll catch up to you.
Exactly, and right now, it looks like the caster just got in combat with the Cold One Chariots. I'm not sure if that was on purpose to allow these Illyrian Reavers to get a charge off, but we will see what happens. Looks like the Mage of High Magic is trying to get out of there, and if she isn't quick about it, it will be a precarious situation indeed. Is that a Doombolt coming down?
Oh, that's a good-looking Doombolt.
Oh,
pew, pew.
Two misses, unfortunately, for those Doombolts. Man, Doombolts on top of those, why can I never remember that? Doomfire Warlocks. It's really a game changer. That's a pretty scary thing to be up against, knowing that at any point when you get into a blob in combat with your cav, a Doombolt can come flying in. And not only one, but two.
Oh, and then the Slaneshi guys are coming in as well, right? And they got that, they got the time, the life suck or whatnot. By the way, we do get a Soul Blight down here. It's going to be minus 30 armor and 25% weapon damage. It's not like these Illyrian Reavers had very much weapon damage anyway, so, well, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference in the outcome of this battle as Cold Ones come slamming in from left, right, and center. The Bleak Sword is going to come join the front. The Doomfire Warlocks are running away, but they got more Doomfire Warlocks to take their place. Looking pretty bad here for little Lotus Moon.
It really is Soul Stealer on top of Princess. Her leadership's dropping. We have the Cold One Knight surrounding her, Malekith getting on top, and yeah, at this point, this fate is sealed. But you know, good battle. But yeah, Crusader just really overwhelming and getting such a important, vital engagement off in the beginning there. And I can't blame Lotus Moon when I saw those Doomfire Warlocks charging in, and he countered with his Fireborn. I'm like, those Fireborn should be able to tear through them. But yeah, Crusader, totally. Yeah, right? You're like, oh, they'll melt them. But Crusader showing the forethought, he's like, well, I'm going to sacrifice this unit, get a surround with my other Doomfire Warlocks, which will buy the time for the Cold One Knights to come in, and just absolutely destroyed the Fireborn before the battle even went going. And I have a feeling that if the Fireborn were in that battle for longer, Lotus Moon would have been doing some nasty stuff with them. So Crusader making an excellent sacrifice there in the beginning that I think just kind of set the pace and the tone for the rest of the battle.
You're 100% right there, man. And, you know, when we think about that one action there by Lotus Moon in sending those dragons out there, right? Sending those Fireborn out there, it was a perfect opportunity for Crusader to all in there, right? Like, there's a situation where if the Fireborn were just, you know, this doesn't actually make sense, but if they were like 100 meters closer to the main body of their army, right? Just like 100 meters closer to the main body of their army, then Crusader sending literally everything he has that's mobile into that mash would have been a bad idea, right? Because he's going to get hit by arrows, he's going to get hit by spells, and they're also likely going to get caught out by maybe Dryads coming in. But unfortunately, and maybe fortunately for Crusader, his Doomfire Warlocks begin so close to the Fireborn that the Fireborn actually move away from their allies to engage the Doomfire Warlocks, of course, to melt them, but just far away enough to where he cannot get any support. And so Crusader, I mean, here's a guy who sees an opportunity and just takes it, right? He's like, look, I don't care what I have to sacrifice. This Fireborn is dead and nobody can help them.
Yep, exactly.
This is what, you know, I think that really differentiates a good player from a great player, right? A good player knows that the Fireborn are there and he can do good damage to them, but doesn't see that they're already dead. Crusader, on the other hand, understands it. He's just like, these are already dead. I don't have to worry. I'm going to send everything there and then move on. Good stuff. All right.
But yeah, no, excellent points, man. I completely agree there. Great player versus a good player. And I mean, I definitely consider Lotus Moon a great player. He's played longer than me, and I think he's a better player than me. But yeah, Crusader is just next level. I was watching his stream the other day, and it's really entertaining to watch him and see his micro and how he maneuvers his units. And I can just see there's a very different mindset than even I have in the game. And he's just on next level. He's an excellent player.
Yeah, certainly, man. Absolutely. And he's also been here for ages, man. I think he had played some of those ESL games in the beginning too, and so he had kind of understood how the meta shifts and really can log down the strengths and weaknesses of units. You know what? It's what gets me though, man. When I try to kill a unit, right? Like when I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna kill this unit, and then I'm not gonna have to deal with them anymore. They always survive with like a third health and then just wreck my ass later in the game. The fact that Crusader can point at a unit and say, okay, you're dead, it amazes me.
Yeah, no, and he did that. It felt like when I played him in today's tournament, he just did that to my whole army. He just pointed at my army and said, "You're dead," and it was over. And no matter what I tried to do, no matter how cautious I was, I just found myself getting in all of the worst combinations of matchups. And he just, crushed me. And like I've said before in my streams, I'm definitely not even anywhere close to the best player at this game. But if somebody can just completely play with me like a cat plays with a mouse, then I will give them credit and say they're an excellent player, because I think I'm good enough to where if you're going to trounce me, then you are next level. And this guy just, anytime I play him, it's just not even a chance. I played best of 5 with him, lost 0-5. And he's I don't understand how his brain works. And even watching him play Soothsayer a couple weekends ago, it's great to see somebody else coming to the top. I'm excited to see this guy with his unique play style really showing some people new things in this game.
Honestly, man, I'm just excited that he's using Cav. I mean, I'm excited that he's using Cav and the way that Cav are supposed to be used.
Yep.
By the time that I was starting to move away from Warhammer 2 back in the day, kind of earlier in the Warhammer 2 release, one of my big beeps was the fact that the preponderance of large monsters essentially disallowed the use of cavalry. Because cavalry really sucked dick against large monsters, and large monsters happen to just eat the living shit out of cavalry. And so people just stopped bringing cavalry, right? You wouldn't want to bring your cavalry because they're just going to get hard countered by all of these goddamn, monsters running all over the place. And so what it ended up turning into was very, very slow, brawly monster mashes. None of this sweet flanking around the outside. You're not seeing, Crusaders' chariots zip through the middle of, different units and going for those soft, chewy centers. It was literally a point-and-shoot game. And seeing Lotus Moon, again, revive the use of cavalry here is really, it warms my heart.
Definitely. And that's one thing I like a lot in him, because I'm a Cav player myself, too. I like having a lot of Cav in my armies. And yes, you were absolutely right, Colomito. I said best of 5 and I lost 0-5. That's not a best of 5. But it started as a best of 5, and I was so frustrated I kept on going until I just lost 5 battles in a row. So there's your explanation, Colo. Or maybe it was a best of 5, but I lost 3 battles, and it just felt like I lost 5 battles. How's that? Is that acceptable?
That's terrifying, dude.
Yeah. Infantry suck in this game. Rev and Ninja, I'm okay with where infantry's at. It's just you have to use infantry in support with other infantry. Like, the big thing with infantry in this game is you need to have something to slow Cav down. Otherwise, your infantry's just going to get cycle charged to death. And I don't really have a problem with that, because to me it makes sense that infantry lose to cavalry unless they're supported with some type of magic or a speed debuff or a Cav unit coming in to help them hold units down. But that's just me.
Yeah, it's there's a fine line that you really have to balance with these infantry as well, man. I mean, you were around here during the Bretonnian peasant fucking horde days, yeah?
Oh yeah, I was.
Right? Like, there is a point where infantry just kills. Like, it's just not good. Like, that kind of infantry is just not good at all. And so you don't want to make these guys so powerful that they can stand a cavalry charge. I mean, the balance is intense. I don't think I give enough credit to some of these goddamn Total War balance people, man. They may not update, as regularly as the little kid inside me might like, but it's not like you're making easy decisions here in terms of balancing these units.
Absolutely. It's an important thing to remember, is like, when people ask me if this game balanced, it's like, of course not. There's 13 factions. They have so many units with them. How do you really make something completely balanced in that sense? And I don't think it should be completely balanced. The same way, even fighting games, like that have huge competitive scenes like Street Fighter, Tekken, anything like that. They're not perfectly balanced. There's characters that are better than other characters, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Because, I don't know, that's kind of the playstyle to me. It's like, I don't think Beastmen should feel just as strong as High Elves. I think they should feel a little bit weaker. They seem like more of a side faction than they do. So, I don't know. I'm happy with the balance where it is right now, but I think it's a dream for the people who seem to think that there's ever going to be a point in the game where every faction is perfectly balanced against each other.
Exactly, man. Even if you're a balanced fanboy, right, and perfect balance is exactly what you're always searching for. The best we're ever going to get is cycling, right? And you use fighting games as an example. I think fighting games is a great example when it comes to balance, is because the way that balance works in fighting games is you incrementally buff various characters continuously.
Yes.
Right? You go through cycles, and you'll always have somebody on top of the pile, but the fact of the matter is that somebody on top of the pile will typically be a different person every season. That gives everybody, you know, a chance to shine in the sun. It's not necessarily intentional either. It's organic. That the strength of the character kind of develops from the crowd itself. And so, in that sense, you know, how can I mine that? How can you mine the a player learning how to use a character to the best of their ability? You can't stop that.
Yeah, so, no, definitely.
We have ourselves one more round here. It looks like Lotus Moon once again going against Crusader. Would you like to go with Lotus Moon, see what he's got for us?
Sure thing. So Lotus Moon bringing the Wood Elves, and he is going to have 4 units of Deepwood Scouts with Swift Shiver Shards up front, so sacrificing some range for that armor piercing and magical damage. He is then going to have 2 units of Wild Riders right behind them, as well as 5 units of Eternal Guard. Now, for the remainder of his army, he is going to be bringing 2 casters, 1 Spellsinger of Shadows on an Eagle, bringing Enfeebling Foe, Malakoth Mystify Miasma, and 1 Spellsinger of Life, bringing Earthblood and nothing else. Next to them, they will have a Glade Lord going to be bringing Prey of Anathrema, and that will round out our Wood Elf force, a very small Wood Elf army. No surprise there. We are watching Lotus Moon after all. So take away our Dark Elf player. I mean...
No surprise there, no surprise there. All right, let's take a look here. Our Dark Elf forces, he's got some vanguarding forces. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 units of Doomfire Warlocks. Of course, one of them will be a unit of Slaneshi Harvesters. Now, for the main line, he's got 4 units of Bleak Swords. He's got also 2 units of Frozen Lag Time.
Yeah, what the hell? All the banners disappeared.
My banners are still here. It's just everything's very still right now. Oh, there we go. Now people are moving. Alrighty, and so, yeah, we got 2 units of Sisters of Slaughter, a single unit of Cold One Knights, 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers are also going to be making a showing here. The leadership for this team is going to consist of Crone Hellebron herself. She's not going to be on her beautiful piece of movable furniture, but she will be on a pretty desiccated look. That horse probably needs to see the vet, man. I don't know about this shit. That doesn't look so hot. In any case, despite her kind of mangled-looking horse, she does have the Gaze of Cain as well as the Amulet of Dark Fire. And the second piece of leadership here is going to come in the form of a Sorceress of Death. She's on a similarly mangled horse. Damn. Well, not good to be a horse in Nagarond.
No.
In any case, and she's got Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech as well as the Dark Star Cloak. Now that's going to be it for the Dark Elves.
Okay, very good stuff. Let's let our players know we're ready. I asked them to wait that time since they started before you even went over the army last time. But yeah, well, looking at deployment here, it looks like Lotus Moon going for a very wide line, using his Eternal Guard as kind of like a backline wall that he can push forward into engagements where needed, but clearly keeping him back a bit so they don't need to get engaged right off the bat. Wild Riders deployed in the forest hidden, so they can get some nice sneaky maneuvering down. And then, yeah, pretty straightforward there. Whereas, looks like the Dark Elf's straight line here. Got the Slaneshi Harvesters. He's very glad, I'm sure, that he pulled those Slaneshi Harvesters back from that front line at first, because they would have got peppered with Deepwood Scout Swift Shiver Shards if they would have stayed where they were initially.
Indeed, indeed. And oh, here we go, man. Slowly but surely, these guys start thinking. They're thinking about going closer, but those Reaper Bolt Throwers, an incredibly potent unit right now, as long as these poor Deepwood Scouts don't get any closer. As soon as those Deepwood Scouts get in range, though, man, I really do fear for the Reaper's chances. But I think right now Crusader knows exactly that as well, and he's going to move up his Bleak Swords to take some of those shots. Doomfire Warlock's also going to come out here as a minor distraction, and we will see those Reapers actually now start to hit those dragons.
Yeah, no, very good sense of spacing from Crusader here. He recognizes, like, if you have artillery, you want to push your infantry up far enough from the artillery to where you're blocking out the archers from your opponent, and he's doing such a good job recognizing the value of a screening force, sending up his cheap Bleak Swords with shields to take the brunt of that impact and giving his bolt throwers free range to just fire with impunity.
And it continues on here. The Deepwood Scouts finally getting their volley off here, but who did they get the volley off on? They got on the Bleak Swords. These guys don't give a shit, man. They were made to die when it comes down to it. The rest of the Dark Elf force slowly but surely creeping out of the woods now, though.
Yeah, and not only are the Bleak Swords super cheap chaff units, they have silver shields. So if you're shooting them from the front, you're getting 55% of those shots negated. So, and that breath not really getting good contact either, just completely missing the Bleak Swords.
Well, I mean, we're seeing, I mean, it's a little bit of a trend here. I mean, you know, is this Lotus Moon maybe tilting a little bit? Usually he's so goddamn on point with his fire on his target choosing, but right now he's just, again, riddling these bleak swords full of holes, which is not who needs more holes when it comes down to it.
Yeah. I mean, I also wonder, because I know Lotus Moon is on a very different time schedule, and it's probably very, very late, as in after 12 and like after midnight where he's playing. So I'm wondering if the fatigue is setting in. That's usually a problem he encounters when he plays these type of tournaments, where it gets later and later for him and he has work in the morning, and other players are playing in, you know, it's bright and early for them and they're fully alert. So
and now here's a little bit of an attempt that we saw that was similar to the Lotus Moon that we know and love here. Just as he was moving back, managed to get a volley off on the Sisters of Slaughter, but the following volley here, again, great play by Crusaders Bleak Swords, making sure that they are the highest priority target to be targeting, and boom, here's a catch right now. Slaneshi Harvesters are going to take down the Deepwood Scouts, and they might even tie up a second unit.
yeah, we're going to see the Eternal Guard charging forward to try to help him out, but look at all the damage being done to these Deepwood Scouts. One of them look like they're going to go down completely. And we see a Fade Up unit going down on the Wild Riders, which is a huge deal. He doesn't have a regrowth to counteract that. Slaneshi Harvesters charging on. The Wild Riders did not get a counter charge off. So things are looking pretty dire right now for our Wood Elves.
They are indeed, man. I was hoping I could think of a wood pun. What the fuck was that?
Wait, so...
What's this big pink oh, Gaze of Cain, is that what that? I've never seen that before.
Gaze of Cain, it's a new ability for the Crone.
Whoa, dude, this is nuts. Can you zoom in inside this, dude? Oh, whoa, somebody's got to take some screenshots of this battle in here. We got arrows flying right and left, a red mist in the air. It looks like goddamn blood just everywhere. Classic Dark Elf, man. It's so goddamn heavy metal. I love it.
Yeah, this is pretty metal, man. This is like drinking a glass of blood metal.
There you go, man. There you go. And also, this Gaze of Cain is incredibly potent here. 8 leadership plus 25% weapon damage and the 25 melee attack. Yeah, you're rampaging, but if you're already in the center of your enemy's force, rampaging doesn't actually matter all that much. And shit, my son, I mean, how... You're the Wood Elf player. What are you thinking, and how do you bring this back? How do you regain control of the situation?
Well, he's going to have to use the Wild Riders, and it's rough right now because he's in a position where he needs all the Wild Riders he has to come and support the main engagement, but ideally he should be just using those Wild Riders to kill off the Bolt Throwers. So right now I think he's in a situation where, and by the way, I'm not a Wood Elf main by any stretch of the imagination, so if I'm saying stupid shit, somebody in chat correct me. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I think his best bet is get the Lord out of there and bring the Wild Riders in and try to cycle charge for the victory. But right now, look at that. He did just knock out Crone Hellebron. She is routing from terror. If he can get on top of her and chase her off the map, that will really help the Wood Elves out a lot. And look at that. Queen Hellebron, or the Crone, is going to get charged again. Prey of Anathrema from the Glade Lord. Beautifully done. We will see if they turn around and get on top of her, because if that Glady can take care of the Queen, and there goes Crone. Crone is off the map, completely devastated. Going to be routing down to barely any health, less than 200. And if she comes back after that, I'd be incredibly impressed with her staying power. But right now, it does look like the Wood Elves are switching it over. Sorry, go ahead, Sandra.
It really is, man. No, I mean, this is the first step, right? This is the first step on that long road back to a comeback victory here. Break the Dark Elves, not everywhere, but just break them one place at a time. You broke Hellebron, good. Now break the Sisters of Slaughter, good. Next, break the Bleak Swords, and just one step at a time. If the Wood Elves can do it, in the classic Lotus Moon style, take that scalpel and excise important units, he might still be able to win this, man, because he's got those 3 flying lords, and God, they hurt on the charge.
They do, and he just killed the Crone, so the leadership debuff is across the field right now. He has Eternal Guard going down on top of the Bolt Throwers. Cold One Knights are coming to counter them, but Cold One Knights don't want to be fighting Eternal Guard with their anti-large armor piercing, so we may very well see Lotus bring this back. He's done a great job dismantling this west side of the battlefield from the Dark Elves, so I'm impressed with the micro here, and yeah, whatever Lotus just did, that's what I would say you should do, you know?
Yeah,
going back to your question.
Right there, man. Whatever the fuck he did right there, it seemed like it was on point.
Yes. Whatever he did, it worked, so do that, guys.
Is Rickson typing in the goddamn chat? Oh, that's... Oh, sorry. I thought Rickson was playing for a second, and it says, yeah, Lotus recovered well. And I was like, what? What are you doing in chat? No, but it's going to be okay. Rickson is not multitasking that hard. It's Crusader that's playing the game right now, and he does manage to clean up a sneaky unit of Eternal Guard here that almost sent his Reaper Bolt Throwers home, but they are going to be okay. They are going to be able to fire more shots.
I think...
And that's going to be...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, man, you know, I think the single most devastating thing right now for Lotus Moon is the continued existence of these Reaper Bolt throwers.
That's actually exactly what I was interrupting you with. I was gonna say Lotus needs to make his #1 priority those bolt throwers. The morale damage they do, not only just the damage, is very dangerous right now because you can get a shot from those artillery, have a leadership debuff on these Wild Riders that'll rout him right off the map if he's not careful. So if he doesn't take care of those bolt throwers, they will most certainly be the thing that swings this back in the Dark Elf's favor.
Oh yeah, man, you better believe it here. And ooh, nice stagger right there with the triple shot on the Glade Lord. These guys are getting slaves or something when they go back home. They're doing a great job, these bolt throwers. What do you reward Dark Elves with? Like,
definitely slaves. A lot of sex slaves.
Yeah, there we go. I think that's probably about right.
I mean, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. BDSM is their motif. Over here, these Dark Elves are. I mean, the Wood Elves right there. I don't know if you saw it, but Lotus Moon netted the Cold One Knights, breathed them, and charged in. And those Cold One Knights just went from 100 to 0 that quick. And without the Cold One Knights, I don't think the Dark Elves have anything on the field that can win this because they were the only anti-large unit they had left. We have Lotus with the mobility advantage right now, chasing down the Sorceress of Death, and Lotus Moon just showing why he's one of the greats right now. He is getting on top of the Reaper Bolt Throwers just like we said he needed to, and the Dark Elves have no mobility to catch him right now. The Sisters of Slaughter will not be able to catch him outright in spite of their poison damage, so I think Lotus has this one in the bag unless he makes a real big mistake.
Yeah, I almost think he certainly will as well. And, you know, I kind of want to bring this a little bit back to the Lotus Moon Scalpel that we've been talking about, right? He goes in, he kills the units that he needs to kill. Oh, I have the Crone, I'm going to kill the Crone. Oh, the Cold One Knights are alone? Okay, I'm going to kill the Cold One Knights.
Yep.
This Scalpel that's running through and killing important units. In the meantime, the Crusader, all the units that he had a bunch of units just running out here, right? On one hand, they were keeping these Deepwood Scouts away, but on the other hand, what was their goal? Was their goal merely to distract these guys?
You see, that's one thing I think Crusader made a huge mistake here. There was a time, I think I played a best of 3 against Lotus just for fun. He came on my stream, and one thing I was pointing out is that Lotus Moon wants you to chase him. And right now, Crusader chased him. He didn't need to chase him. Crusader just had to keep his Bleak Swords in a straight line, have that screen formation, let the Bolt Throwers do the work. Even if he lost Bleak Swords to the Archers, that's wasted ammunition for the Wood Elves and a couple dead Bleak Swords. Who cares, right? And as soon as he went and chased him, he suddenly started playing Lotus Moon's game. And that's one thing I tell people, like, you hate facing kite players, you hate facing people who will pull back and continue to pepper you and tear you apart. Don't play their game. Don't chase them. You had the artillery, stay in position, defend your artillery, and let them do the talking. But as soon as he went out chasing them, that's when Lotus Moon, like you say, just started eliminating the Crone, eliminating the Cold One Knight, starting tearing everybody apart with that scalpel-like precision that he is known for.
And you see it right now. You see the patience right now that Crusader, you know, he's turned his game face back on, and he's like, oh shit, I'm not doing so hot. I'm gonna bring everybody back. And guess what? The first significant piece of resistance that our friend Lotus Moon here wants to put up, these Wild Riders dead instantly. Right?
Yep.
This one bird that came down here, goddamn near dead instantly.
Yep.
It's because you have people together. Oh my god.
That breath. That breath is dirty, and also the arrows from the Glade Lord on top of the Sorcerers of Death. That's going to be a game right there. But both players are really showing why they're the greats here. But like you say, in that ending stage, Crusader has definitely put his game face back on, is doing a lot of good work, and making Lotus work for this victory.
Hey, look, man, you know, if Crusader keeps it together here, if he still has those bolt throwers, he can still win this game. He still has ammo on the bolt throwers. He still has the ability to knock out these very low health, low morale units. They'll run on the blink of they'll just run, right?
Yeah.
And so...
And he has those poison units with the Sisters of Slaughter to slow units down, so you're absolutely right. This is still anybody's game, especially when you're talking about this high level of play.
All right, man. You know, this is, it's dicey, Gonna sit here, and this is so bad. I mean, with the Sisters of Slaughter, you really have to feel for Crusader here because they got no shields. They're not wearing any goddamn armor at all. But you have no choice but to sit there and take hits because moving kills you.
Yep. I mean, I guess it's a good thing the Sisters of Slaughter have their little shields for a bit of a missile block chance, but yeah, they're definitely not dressed.
Like forearm shields, right?
Yeah, they have forearm shields, but it still gives them like the 35% missile block chance. So not as good as silver shields, but yeah, those tiny little shields, they're very nimble, you know? They're very effective at using those forearm shields.
Yeah, I totally missed that, dude. No, yeah. But unfortunately, their Crusader, despite looking to possibly pull it back, I mean, he almost had a certain victory in his hands. It looked like Lotus Moon was getting run over. His troops were getting scattered all across the field.
Mm-hmm.
But Crusader, he got so eager. He just got so greedy. He just looked like he was already winning, and then he just wanted to concentrate on the small battles instead of a large one, but wasn't concentrating on small battles in a goal-oriented way, where Lotus Moon was. And boom, Lotus Moon manages to somehow, some way, steal a victory away here from Crusader.
Yeah, I mean, and looking at the kills here, like, I thought the Deepwood Scouts got shut down pretty quick by the Slaanesh's Harvesters and the Doomfire Warlocks, but they got some good kills. 36, 52, 95, 24. Some decent kills on the Wild Riders too, but I mean, really, it's all about his flying gameplay. Like, he's so efficient at using the double Spell Singer on Eagles plus the Glade Lord. He time and time again, I'll see him losing a battle outright, and then he just so efficiently uses that hero combination to where he can pull it back from the clutches of defeat. And I think he did it right there. And gonna double down what I said earlier. I think the biggest mistake Crusader made that lost him this game was chasing down Lotus. Yeah,
I'll agree with you there, man. That's the least valuable player was the decision to chase down those units. And again, chasing down units is good, right? You want to chase units down. But typically, you have one unit do that. You have one unit of fast cavalry, maybe one unit of Doomfire Warlocks. Yeah, he's not going to be able to chase everybody down, but he'll be able to chase one person down, and that's it. One for one, then you're going to be A-okay. But sending all your Bleak Swords out there, it was damning here for Crusader, but I'm sure that Crusader knows that so much better than we do. He's probably broken this down in his own mind 1,000 different ways, and I bet he's coming up with a good plan up here against Lotus Moon, who, unfortunately for him, Lotus Moon probably views this as fortunate, but I would say unfortunate because he's playing basically the same army again. Crusader got a whole new ball game to be playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, we will see what happens here. So, looks like Dark Elves versus Chaos is next. Interesting.
That is what I suspect.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the only choice both players have left, so I guess that's what we're getting. And we saw this earlier, and we saw Dark Elves dismantle Chaos very easily, but I'm still a Chaos fanboy. Chaos, Greenskins, Beastmen, Skaven, those are my factions. And whereas right before this patch, I definitely would have given Chaos the edge against Dark Elves. It seems like the balance has shifted in favor of the Dark Elves since they've gotten the regiments renowned. But what do you think of this matchup?
I think you like the factions that don't bathe, man.
I am a big old low leadership faction guy, and I like my fast factions and my beastly factions. So
I can dig that, man. I can dig that. I mean, we'll see again. My lack of familiarity with the modern meta here has really got me spinning because, damn, Chaos is good now? Like, what the fuck? Like, what are you guys smoking? But yeah, I guess they are really, really good, So my question is right now, the Chaos of not yesteryear, but yestermonth or whatnot, early Warhammer 2 days, if Chaos had a chance, it was on the back of 3 Dragon Ogre Shoggoths, or alternatively, 1 big bird and like 2 Dragon Ogre Shoggoths.
Yeah.
Has it changed?
Those days. Yeah, definitely. And because right now Chaos has a lot of good skirmishing potential with their Marauder Horsemen. They're very cost efficient. I think Chaos Infantry is quite capable in this matchup. And I think the reason Chaos gets a bad rap for being weak, because ever since I started playing this game, there's definitely been points where Chaos has been shit, especially when the first game was out. But I think
there have been points, man. There have been goddamn trenches.
That's a good point. There's been huge eras, like the Jurassic era of just Chaos sucking. But basically, I think they get a bad rap similar to Empire in the sense that they're not the easiest faction to play. They require a lot of thought in the army building process, especially because it's so easy to take a Chaos armor and just be like, armor, heavy infantry, let's go, Dragon over Shaggots. But they're kind of similar to Empire in the way that you lose battles on your builds with Chaos, in my opinion, the same way you lose battles with your builds with Empire. They're hard factions to play, but I think too many people mistake hard with bad. So I still think Chaos has the chance to do this, especially with the Regiment's Renown being back. They still have those Chaos Bomb with their Armor Sundering that are going to be quite good in this matchup. So, yeah, I mean, Dark Elves I definitely give the edge here, because what are Dark Elves known for? Armor-piercing missiles. What is Chaos known for? Armor. So I think that's one advantage that you can't underestimate that the Dark Elves have.
So, I mean, there's a trick that we can pull out of our hat here, man. An old school trick back from the Trash League days of Chaos. Full possessed line, man. That front line, just all of them possessed. You got like 5 of the bastards out there, and that's basically it. That's your hitting power right there. You back them up with like 3 units of unarmored trolls, and then all of a sudden you got an army that can absolutely devastate an enemy on the charge. Remains to be seen whether or not you'll last more than 15 seconds in a fight, but we'll see.
Yeah. One other strength
don't
that...
take my advice.
Take the advice, guys. Touch the stove, like I always say. Learn through experience. Touch it. That phrasing there, I need to work on. But anyways, one thing that Chaos is also really strong with, and I'll have to do some testing out the new patches out, is Chaos Knights are really strong. And if they're properly supported, they can do a lot of damage. However, against Dark Elves, I think that strength they have is pretty much negated by the fact that Cold One Knights with their anti-large armor piercing are just way more cost efficient than Chaos Knights. But I've had lots of success with Chaos Knights against Grail Knights, against what are the other knights I was just thinking of? Oh, Dragon Princes. Like, Chaos Knights can lay out a lot of damage, so we'll see if they come into play here, but I wouldn't count on it.
You know, I mean, I would definitely put Chaos Knight as one of my most valuable units, right? I mean, I have... When it comes to the late game, there are not many units quite as influential as Chaos Knights. They have a devastating charge. They make units flee right and left. You really can't kill them with less than a full health unit of archers, right? You can't just ping them down to death. They're hard to kill, and so they're extremely good in that late game where Chaos really, really needs them.
Well, what do you think we're going to be seeing here, you know, from both of these armies? I guess we can start with Lotus Moon. Like, he's clearly a kite-oriented player, but do you think we're going to be seeing that in this battle to come, or do you think he's going to be trying to switch it up, maybe throw Crusader off?
I think that you got a kite here, man. You got a kite here. You're against the slowest goddamn army in the game, right? This, of all the armies that you kite, this is the one. Where is the leadership, right? Where is the strongest portion of... I mean, this army, for Chaos, leadership's incredibly important. So you take down the leader, you're in a lot of trouble. Magic, incredibly important for Chaos, right? When you take the magic out, they're in a hell of a lot of trouble. Large monstrous creatures, all of the things that I'm listing right now are things that Lotus Moon specializes in slicing up and serving up.
Definitely.
Like, it terrifies me, and that's why I think Lotus Moon should go the kite build. I don't think he's going to be able to last in a one-to-one brawly bashy combat, because that's just what Chaos does.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% there. I think the one risk that the Dark Elves run with pure kite on this, though, is if the Chaos, like, let's say with kite, Lotus Moon brings a lot of repeater crossbows, Dark Riders. That's a pretty common choice, very high mobility, armor piercing damage. The problem that they can run into is all you need is a Poison Warhound with a Marauder Horseman, and those Dark Riders are fucked. Because the Marauder Horsemen cost 500, and they can fire while moving. The Dark Riders can't. So either the Dark Riders have to fight Poison Warhounds and Marauder Horsemen, which they'll lose in melee, or they have to run away, and while they're running away, they're going to get shot, and they won't be able to shoot back. So
good point.
It's one of those things where I think the skirmish engagement is not as in favor of the Dark Elves as people may think initially, just by virtue of the fact that, yeah, they have better skirmishers at killing units, but Chaos has better skirmishers at chasing down skirmishers. So,
and just before we get into the armies here, you know, I'd like to note something that you were kind of talking about before, in saying that Chaos doesn't suck. Chaos often is just hard to use, and I think this is a great example of what you're talking about. When you take a look at army build composition, Poison Warhounds and Chaos Horse Skirmishers really suck ass on paper, dude.
They do.
They look so fucking terrible on paper, and they look like they take so much space up in your army when you take an effective number of them, which is usually 2 and 2, right?
Yeah.
And so the vast majority of regular players cannot get the mileage out of those units like good players like this can. Good players like this, the reason Chaos is good is they can use that Poison Warhound Marauder Horseman combo and actually make it effective. But speaking of effective, man, what do we have here for our army?
Okay, well, looking over blue, we have Lotus Moon bringing the Dark Elves, and guys, it looks like this is pretty melee focused. I don't see a ton of skirmishers on the field, so let's see how this goes. We have 4 units of Dread Spears, one of them being the Helibroni. I'm just going to call them the Bronies, the Regiment Renowned Dread Spears. And then we have a Blackguard and Nagarond, along with 2 units of Witch Elves backing them up. Over here in the very back, we're going to see what appears to be 2 units of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows to get that armor piercing damage in. 1 unit of Bleak Swords that I missed from earlier. And then we have the Slaanesh's Harvesters, the Regiment Renowned Doomfire Warlocks. Up here for our leadership, we are going to be bringing a Death Hag on top of their Blood Cauldron, going to have Witch Brew, Potion of Foolhardiness, Fury of Cain, Chill Blade, and of course all that frenzy that comes with them. Up here we're going to have Morathi atop her Dark Pegasus, going to be bringing the Wand of Caradian, which is basically the bound spell version of Doombolt, the Deadly Onslaught, Soul Stealer, Power of Darkness, Malakos Mystify Miasma, Heartrender and the Dark Sword for an ability, as well as Enchanting Beauty and King Conduit, and Spiteful Conjuration. What do we have for Chaos, Sappho?
Does she actually have Enchanting Beauty, though? What does she look like?
No.
Yeah, she's all right, man. You know, I'd probably actually give her a very high score, but she's also an animated, computer-generated lady.
Yes.
So I suppose they probably wouldn't want to make her like a 4 out of 10. In any case, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have our Chaos forces arranged and ready for the big battle. The front line is going to be nice and strong, heavily armored Chaos Warriors. We're going to have 4 of those bastards here. We're also going to have 2 more units of Chaos Warriors, but these will be the great weapon. Oh, actually, I'm very wrong here. We're going to have 2 units of Chaos Marauders. They will have great weapons, and 2 more units of Chaos Marauders with just their hand weapons and shields. Now, we do have a cavalry force here, a cavalry contingent, a bit skirmishy. It's going to be 4 units of Marauder horsemen with throwing axes. Those guys could certainly be a surprise for our Dark Elf enemy, depending on how close that Morathi does decide to get. Now, we have some more pieces to this puzzle here. It's going to be a single Hell Cannon. It's actually going to be the Soul of Damnation. Sitting in the back there, it's got Doomfire, it's unbreakable, it's got armor-piercing missiles. I mean, it is something that you want to kill ASAP, because under manual fire, you're going to lose way too much, kids. Behind them, we have some Guardians here. It's going to be 2 units of armored Chaos Trolls hanging out with their Dwarven buddies, their Dark Dwarven Brethren, Chaos Dwarven Brethren. And then I think the only thing that we haven't listed out yet, of course, is our leader. It's going to be a Chaos Lord of Death here for our forces of Chaos. He's going to have Arcane Conduit, Spirit of Buna, my ass, dude. The Fate of Buna, as well as Spirit Leech, going to be the choices there. So I gotta say, man, any single entity unit that gets close to this Chaos line is going to get Spirit Leech and axed into oblivion, as we see Morathi getting done right now.
Yeah, she is running away, doing a good job microing, avoiding a lot of those axes. But yeah, very strong skirmish force from Chaos. And not only that, he has the artillery that's going to force the Dark Elves to him. So we will see how much... Oh, that was a mean Hell Cannon blast on those Blackguard and Aggron. I'm imagining how much you did.
Felt that.
Yeah, it sounded like you shit your pants, but that sounds like a Hell Cannon blast to me. But yeah, no, they are doing so much work, and right now it looks like Dark Elves are going to have a hard time because they have some tanky infantry to get through, and a Hell Cannon that has already just decimated Blackguard and a Fate of Buna that's, wow, Blackguard and Aggron, done.
Look, man, you lived 10,000 years, you became the most martial prowess up the wazoo, you beat It Man with your eyes closed and one hand behind your back. All of that to die like this.
Yeah.
On the battlefield.
I can't believe I bit It Man for this.
Yeah, right. The Blackguard are basically combat ineffective right now. They've lost so much damage. The Hell Cannon are going to be firing and other stuff, but now the lines have met here. The Chaos Trolls come roaring out of that forest. Those armor-piercing weapons, as well as the armor on themselves, just smashing that Death Axe Blood Cauldron down. Desperately, the Blackguard of Nagron coming to try to fend off these trolls. I don't think that's going to be enough there, as these Marauder Horse Masters, fucking Genghis Khan decides to pay a visit and just comes rolling on in.
Come with me.
We have Morathi here in the center. Oh, wow, that's a bait. Here comes the Soul Stealer, everybody. Yep. Soul Stealer going down on this huge blob as they're trying to kill Morathi, and Morathi's just going to continue healing herself as quickly as that. That is brilliant. The trolls are going to start losing morale. We will see if that gamble pays off or if Morathi just killed herself for no good reason. But
I mean, we do have the trolls actually just regen that shit right back.
Exactly.
The morale has done okay, but it looks like we got another spell prepared here. 10 guesses as to what it's going to be, dropping down on the Marauders or the Chaos Warriors.
I guess we shall see. I'm going to imagine it's going to be one of the Doom Bolts, but we shall see. I got a frozen. Okay, it looks like it's going again there. You see it?
Yeah, I see it now. My money's on Rune of Wrath. We'll see if it goes down.
Okay.
The Death Hag, not as damaged as I thought she would be, decides to go back and rejoin that battle. A unit of Chaos Warriors is out though. A unit of Blackguard of Nagron no longer fighting. What the hell? Did a lot of damage there.
It sure did. took off quite a lot of health on top of those Chaos Warriors who had that Doombolt come down. But the Dark Elf front line, look at that. It's all wavering. It's about to fall apart. The Witch Elves are not going to be long for this world. They're fighting Chaos Warriors, for God's sake. And that damn Hell Cannon is so accurate now. It's doing so much work. 132 kills already on that Hell Cannon. And it's going to be counting. It's just doing so much work. However, look at that. The Trolls falling back. Dark Elves pulling that engagement back into their favor. Terror going down on the Chaos Warriors. And look at that, man. They are actually just breaking through that Chaos Center in a situation where it looked like it was completely going Chaos ways non-stop. We now have the Lord charging in, trying to get on top of Morathi. But Morathi expertly pulled out right in time to get out of that combat. Hell Cannon starting to miss some shots now. It looks like the wide mixed up formations is starting to confuse its targeting, so looks like Dark Elves will get a moment of reprieve from that.
It looks like it's going to eventually down here to these Dark Riders. Those crossbow bolts are doing a significant amount of damage here. Now the Trolls will undoubtedly return. Yeah, they're now in the woods right now, regenerating some of their health, and they'll get back in a second. Horsemasters still have about half ammo left and doing some good damage. It looks like we might actually catch these Dark Riders with Marauders of all things. Yeah, no, the Dark Riders do manage to get away. Murderous prowess is still popped, though. The thing that I'm worried about here is that that entire middle fight with these Dark Elves was basically against 2 units of Chaos Warriors.
Yep.
And so there's still a lot of Chaos Warriors left on the field, right? We got Chaos Marauders with great weapons, 2 units of Chaos Warriors that are relatively fresh here. The Hell Cannon's alive. We have 2 units of Trolls that are just waiting to beat some ass up. Where the Dark Elves are hurting across all of their fronts.
Yeah. No, the Trolls still have a lot of health right now, and really the throwing axes are going to seal the fate. The Death Hag is going to go down right now to that sustained missile barrage, and without that, you know, it's going to be game over for the Dark Elves more than likely in this. They can pull some real magic here because, as I was saying earlier, we still have Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes on the field. They can chase down those Dark Riders repeater crossbows all day long, and from what I'm seeing on the field, the repeater crossbows are the only thing that have a chance of dealing with these armored trolls. So if he can't deal with the armored trolls, then I don't know what he's going to do, because these Dread Spears aren't going to do enough damage. The Trolls' armor should negate most of the damage coming in from them, and the Blackguard and Agarond are basically combat ineffective at the moment. They'll be, you know, taken off the map with a strong breeze.
Yeah. Well, the hope is, right, is that if hypothetically this Chaos Force did not have Marauder Horsemen, you could kill everything but the Trolls, and the Trolls would just run, right, and it'd be fine. But the Marauder Horsemen, such a massive problem, such a massive bank of morale, that the Dark Elves just can't chew through right now.
Yep.
And, you know, the Chaos Lord, despite being a massive pussy and not fighting Morathi at all, but for good reason, Morathi will eat his ass up, he's close to death, man. And, you know, we talked a little bit before about Lotus Moon and turning it around, the Wood Elves, you know, yada, yada, yada. All of that happens again. I don't think it's actually going to work out for Lotus Moon this time.
Well, yeah, and like I would normally say, Morathi should go chase that Death Lord, kill him in the air, which he can, but these Marauder Horsemen are perfect at protecting that Lord. So if Morathi tries to go in there, close the gap, kill off the Chaos leadership, which would be a big deal and probably one of the only ways he can come back on this, he just can't do it because of the throwing axes. However, Morathi doing some clever maneuvering there, flying over the mountain and stuff, and staying in the trees to where those Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes aren't going to be able to get clear lines of shots into her.
Yeah, nice high altitude flying right there, and the Chaos Lord just about to go down. He's got 684 health, a couple, you know, stiff breezes, and that man's gonna fall right off his Manticore.
Exactly. So I think at this point now's the time for Morathi to try to close that gap, kill him off for good. But we will see what Lotus Moon does here. I mean, I by no means want to give him advice. He's an excellent player, and I'm sure he knows what he's trying to do at this final stage of the battle. And lucky for him, his repeater crossbows, while not super strong, have a lot of ammunition left. So if he can use them efficiently, he can get a ton of damage done. But we will see if the Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes don't just chase him off the map.
Yeah, you know, this is it's definitely not as good as a position as Lotus Moon was in the end of last game, but it kind of looks similar-ish, except this time Crusader's not running his units all over the map. You know, if anyone brings it back, man, if anyone can bring it back from here, it's Lotus Moon.
Definitely, completely agree. And at this point, we can't discount him at all, because the Chaos Sorcerer is about to die. All it will take is Lotus Moon charging with Morathi, getting 2 hits off, and he's dead. And then, with the Lord dead, that's a leadership debuff across the field. Trolls, notorious for their low leadership, take a couple volleys from these repeater crossbows, and what do you have left on the field? Some slow infantry and some Marauder Horsemen who don't have axes anymore. So, you know, as much as it may seem one-sided in favor of Chaos because of how much they outnumber, Marathi is still in a very safe position right now, up in the air. She's not going to get fought. She's not going to get, not going to get caught unless she wants to be in an engagement she wants to be caught in. So we'll see what Lotus Moon can do here, but right now Chaos is definitely setting the tone of the battle.
Yeah, man, and really never ever underestimate the power of a suicidal targeted charge here. Again, just a little bit of spread, man. That's all that Lotus Moon is waiting for. Just a little bit too much spread from his friends here. Then he's going to take units one down at a time. But it looks like he might have been caught out just a little bit here. Almost gets his Dark Riders caught, but they will skirmish away. The Trolls trying desperately to catch on to these Dread Spears to get rid of them for good. And also these Slaneshi Harvesters, these bastards are still alive, still harvesting souls for Slanesh.
And we will see. I think right now the unit he's probably noticing is the most separated is these Trolls. However, the Marauder Horsemen are now pulling up to support, and if he would have caught those Trolls, that would have been a huge victory. But now, it looks like he's going to be doubling back around, going towards that Chaos Sorcerer, and pulling back all of those Marauder Horsemen with him.
But Trolls still running after those Spearmen. They probably will be successful in their little adventure there, but the return trip is going to be a long one.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it just looks like Chaos is going to be trying to mop up these fields, these units on the field. I think he's going to really regret it if he keeps these Trolls chasing these Dread Spears. He should pull them back.
Everybody just got spread out all of a sudden, and now, yeah, here Crusader realizes that he realizes his army is in 3 different places, and it's like, Jesus Christ, it's happening again. Now he's got to get all his troops together, but his troops are not together enough. Marathi, right above these Chaos Marauders, she could knock these bastards out in a second.
And I'm very curious to see where Lotus Moon decides to focus his attention, because right now he's doing what he does best. He's forcing his opponent to spread out and fight him on multiple fronts, so we will see what happens. Where the hell are those Chaos Trolls banners? Is it just me or the ones chasing the Spearmen? I don't really see the banner anywhere.
Oh yeah, neither do I.
Is this interesting? This game is terrible at putting banners over not where most of the units are. So
yeah, what are they? Are they way back here? No, that's a different unit, right?
I think so, but
yeah, I have no clue, man. Okay. In the meantime, by the way, some classic Lotus Moon action happened here in the back. We see that the Chaos Warriors of Crusader have been left to their own devices all alone, and so the Dark Riders are going to take that opportunity to dive right into them. A nice charge, no doubt about it. He's going to go for the cycle here as he pulls out of that combat just to go downhill into them again. Those Chaos Warriors probably dead men. But the Chaos, they have some support actually seeing what's going down there, trying desperately to help. We'll see if they come in soon enough.
And over here, we did see Marathi dive in on those Trolls, do a touch of damage, but now is pulling off with her Slaneshi Harvesters, getting up in the air just in the nick of time before those Trolls close the gap. But now the Marauder Horsemen don't have any ammo. I think Lotus just needs to chase down that Chaos Sorcerer Lord. He really needs to get that guy. If he can kill him, that's going to be a huge benefit. And until he does that, it's going to be much harder to get those routes he's trying to get. And now he's going to continue to get Spirit Leech by this Death Sorcerer the longer he stays alive. So we'll see what happens, because right now Chaos is crazy spread out, right? They're all over the map. Not a lot of units on the Dark Elf side to punish it, but if Marathi can get that leadership debuff by killing the Chaos Lord, then he may be able to start dismantling some of these Chaos forces.
And the importance, right? We've been talking about how the Chaos Lord has needed to die for a very, very long time. Now, by the way, it looks like it's just about to happen. Some axes are actually coming down here on Marathi, but Chaos Lord does get caught. A little bit of stutter, a little bit of stagger right there. Marathi trying desperately to get that last hit off. The Chaos Lord is running away, though, but she is going to be
terrified
running too.
Yeah, terror kicked in as soon as that last volley of axes hit her, and the Spirit Leech sealed the fate. Like, if he would have been focusing on that Chaos Sorcerer earlier, that Spirit Leech wouldn't have been enough to finish him off, but unfortunately, since he left him alone too long, that Sorcerer came back and won the day.
Yeah, and I mean, also I want to mention, it was probably a smart part to play, but we see how the dominoes kind of fall. In the rear, I was talking about the Dark Riders and how they had charged a very low health unit of Chaos Warriors and were about to rout them. Those Chaos Warriors didn't rout because the Chaos Lord was alive. If the Chaos Lord, he had so little health, all he had to do was be touched.
Yep.
If it had happened that the Chaos Lord was dead by the time the Dark Riders had charged those Chaos Warriors would have fled. The Chaos Warriors that were coming to support them with very low morale would have fled, and then that's 2 units out of the manpower pool, which gets them that much closer to a full break. And it's not like a lot of these Chaos forces had a lot of morale to begin with.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, I think that was just the one decision that really destroyed any chance he had of taking that back. And even if he would have killed the Sorcerer, to be completely fair, it still would have been an uphill battle.
Yes.
But